Hey guys, so this time I'm going to be talking about how to get some video game systems on a budget. Um, it's not collecting. I don't mean collecting. I just mean if you're trying to save money and you want to play some video games. Here's some good inexpensive ways of playing games, and I've narrowed it down to just five major tips. So here we go. Number one, if you're just looking for a way to play games, this is a good way to start out, and you don't really care about how you're doing it. Please, by all means, just use emulators. You can do them PC, handheld. It's just a good inexpensive way to go because emulators are free. They don't charge you anything to download the software. So if you're just looking for ways to play games, and you don't really care too much about the actual physical hardware, you just want a quick fix for nostalgia purposes, that's my first and foremost recommendation. Not to mention the fact that if that's all you want to do, why spend money on something that you're taking off the market for collectors or somebody who wants to own it? So that one's not just for you, but also for us. So it keeps things on the market for people who are going to actually use it or preserve it. Number two, it says, oh yeah, clone consoles. Yeah, that's a good point. So you have the emulators, and that's kind of the first step. This step up from that is clone consoles, because maybe it's not enough to have the quick nostalgia fix. Maybe you have the carts in your original consoles, you own them, but they're in boxes, or they're not compatible with your current TV, or you're just afraid you're going to break them and you want to preserve them. That's fine too. That's kind of where the concept of clone consoles is perfect, because you can have things that are just a single clone console. That even includes NES Classic, but then you can't play your hardware, your physical games. So clone consoles. I think the Super Retro Trio Plus. Did I say that right? Yes. Super Retro Trio Plus has your Sega Genesis Mega Drive slot, your Super Nintendo Super Famicom slot, and an NES slot. I don't know if it takes Famicom now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, you can play other regions. I'm sure the answer is yes. I even reviewed the damn thing. I'm just drawing a blank right now because it's barely 8 a.m. where I'm at. So clone consoles are very inexpensive, and they're usually HDMI out anymore. There's some of them, if you want just inexpensive, really inexpensive, you can get standard AV out, red, yellow, white. Boop, boop, boop. And it should still work with your HD TV even. However, your picture is going to be less than desirable. But this is all about gaming on a budget. So if you're really trying to save money, that's a good way to skis by. Number three, oh, and that keeps it so that us collectors, again, can still snatch up those systems that are tried and true systems. But yeah, number three, the next step up from that would be, if you want the actual console, Google all of the revisions of it. Wikipedia has good documentation on that. So you'll have the PS3, for instance. All the models play games. So if you're just looking for a game player, the next step from that would be to find which model. How do I word that? So the PS3 has different revisions, right? Each one smaller than the last. Each one more plasticky than the last as well. But it also has less features as you go along. You lose, PlayStation 2 feedback in its actual hardware supplied format in the original fat PS3s. You lose that further along the way. Then it goes to software emulation. But the point is, if you find the one that is made with the least amount of features but has the highest production run, that is probably going to be your least expensive system. So my guess is that last PS3 with the little sliding top, and you just put the tray in it and then slide it closed, is probably the least expensive, the Super Slim. That's just me spitballing off the top of my head. But the point is, look at all revisions. Find the one with the highest production number with the least amount of features, if there is one that has, features lost. Now, that would be the only if you're trying to play games. Clearly, if you're trying to do more than play games, it's going to play movies too. But the point I'm trying to roll into, if I could think this morning, is if it's not just games you're looking for, then unfortunately you're going to get out of your inexpensive, you know, gaming. You're going to be getting into like, oh, I also want this feature and that feature and that feature, and you're going to pay for it because it's not just gaming anymore. It's video playback from a Blu-ray. It's, you know, it's video playback from a USB. It's all kinds of things. So just do your research first. Don't just like see a PS3. Well, I want one. That might not even be the cheapest. You don't have to like shrug and just up and buy it. So just do a little bit of research about the models. And now we're on to number 4, which is kind of a continuation of number 3. If there is only one revision of a console, which I don't think that... I guess the GameCube basically is the only thing I can think of that has one revision. NES had the top loader after the side loader. SNES had a smaller revision as well. Am I right? Yeah, it did. And then the Nintendo 64, I guess no, that one also didn't have like any major revisions. The gray one is always the one you see the most of. But the point is, if you find a console that only really has one major revision, like let's just use the GameCube for this example, and you just want the actual system, just remain vigilant, because some people are just going to be like, oh, well, here's the system, and here's 30 games, and here's 4 controllers, and it comes with 2 memory cards. You don't need all that, right? If you're just gaming on a budget, just getting the base system, and if it comes with a memory card that's desirable, obviously, because you need to save, and just 1 controller, and the power and AV cord, that's it. You know, that's all you need. You don't need to buy the HDMI adapter for the GameCube. You don't need to buy the component digital AV out thing. You just don't need any of that. If you're just trying to game some GameCube games, great. I think owning that original system is a delight. It's so beautiful, and the OS is great. However, again, if you have a little bit of extra wiggle room, remember there's revisions of things. Almost all versions, I caught myself, of the Wii play GameCube games as well. And they're extremely inexpensive because they're not as old as the GameCube is, so people are trying to, you know, sell GameCubes for a little bit more now. Get yourself a Wii, because then you only have to worry about also buying a GameCube controller. Then you have GameCube support, and you have support for Wii games. So if there's only one model revision, see if there's any other system that's also backwards compatible. And maybe just get that, you know, compare prices. Sometimes being vigilant, though, is the point here. Whether it's patience or price comparing different models of things. I wouldn't just, again, shrug and buy something, right? And then the last one, this is like the lowest of the low. You can always, you know, I was going to say garage sales. Garage sales a lot of the time is just, I mean, I don't want to say they have stuff that's broken, because they generally don't. It's usually just dirty. Garage sales are great for stuff like that. If you want to just find an inexpensive console that you probably have to clean to make it be okay. But the tip here that I actually wrote down is that eBay buying a console on eBay that's broken with a common problem is going to be something that you can fix if you're tech savvy for inexpensive, thus keeping your cost low. If it is a problem that you can't seem to Google, I wouldn't really worry about it. I feel like you're going to end up spending more money to fix it than you would if, you know, you just bought just an inexpensive one. It goes back to number 4, being vigilant and patient. Sometimes doing things on a budget requires more time. That's where your money is supplemented, because time is money. So, yeah, that's all 5 tips. If there's any the steps that I'm missing into getting just video game consoles for cheap, share them in the comments, because if I see enough of these, I'll make another video. All I'm doing is trying to be the voice of reason. Your money is your money. It doesn't belong to somebody else if it doesn't have to. There's people out there that just want to get rid of things for cheap. Let's work together and share our steps, and I'll catch you guys in another video. Have a good day.